Good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. It is my pleasure to talk a little bit more about the FRIABLE research project. If you've attended, I hope you did, if you attended Alison Gratz's talk yesterday morning, where she presented about a beautiful case study of Léon's Pilliard drawing, well, this talk is intended as a companion piece to hers, in which I hope to explain a little bit more about the broader framework in which her research took place. So FRIABLE is an ongoing project. It was launched in March 2022, and it is funded as part of the Brain 2.0 BELSPO funding scheme. So this is publicly funded research in Belgium. I am myself a PhD student and presenting today on behalf of myself and the whole FRIABLE research team, many of which are actually sitting in this room with me. Okay, so what do we do at FRIABLE? So first of all, we study the vulnerability of powdery materials, namely pastel, charcoal, and chalk, as found in Belgian artworks, ranging from 1850 to 1914. Why do we do this? Well, as you well know, artworks in FRIABLE media are notoriously fragile because of the weak adherence of the particle to the support. And there is a renewed interest, of course, as we saw recently with the exhibition of pastel, for instance, at the Musée d'Orsay a few months back, in both pastel and the 19th century. So, of course, that means an increase in loan requests, and collection managers and conservators need more data-driven tools to make decisions about whether or not a work should travel. Because, of course, without those decision-making tools, it's a bit harder, of course, for all the people involved in the handling and the caring of these artworks to make decisions that are good for the artwork. Where do we do this? Where the collection we research is located in the Fin de Siècle Museum, which is part of the Royal Museums of Fine Arts in Brussels. It's a consortium of museums. The RMFAB, for short, has an extensive collection of Belgian drawings in FRIABLE media, including the Symbolists drawings. So let's think about, for instance, Knopf, Pilliard, of course, Ensor, Rops. So all these artists are prominently represented in this collection. And of course, this is for us a perfect collection to carry out a large-scale study on a large cohort of these fragile objects. And if you're curious, you can scan this QR code and you have access to the project's webpage. So FRIABLE, as a research consortium, research project, is made of several partner institutions. So we have the Royal Museums of Fine Arts, KU Leuven, my university, the Rijksmuseum, the KIK-ERPA, and ENSAB La Cambre. So all in all, we have two cultural institutions, 2 higher education institutions, and 1 federal scientific institution, being KIK-ERPA. So as you can see, the approach that we take is very multidisciplinary in nature, because the problem we try to tackle is multi-scale, because of course zooming in and out from a single artwork to a collection scale. The FRIABLE as a research project is divided in 8 work packages. So all of us tackle at least 1 or 2 work packages, and we all work together, of course. And why we are so multidisciplinary? Well, I would say that the idea being to combine as many different perspectives and lenses as possible, so that the project's outcomes pro, I would say, could be useful to the wider possible community of users. And as all profiles also reflect this fact, we have multiple backgrounds. Most of us are conservators. I myself, I'm an art historian and curator undercover. So we all wear several hats, and that makes our team very versatile. Our research workflow. So we're working with a research corpus that comprises 100 artworks. Of course, the museum has much more than 100 artworks, but we have to keep it focused. So in order to select this research corpus, we applied the following criteria. Paper should be the primary support. There should be, of course, FRIABLE media alone or in combination present. The time frame should be 1850 to 1914, and these should be drawn by Belgian artists. So in the following slides, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our research workflow using this gorgeous pastel drawing by de Groef de Nunck as a sort of fil rouge, red thread. Well, we don't have any cats in our research corpus, but we have peacocks, so hopefully that's not too bad. And so following this artwork through our research workflow, I hope to highlight the various phases and also to show you how we all work together and all work packages kind of dovetail together. So the first aspect of the research is the research into the past life of these objects. And my colleague Lise van der Waal has done a really great job at really diving into the archival material available at the museum to try and reconstruct well, the lifetime of the artworks, how much time has it spent in the museum versus on the private market or private hands, in this case 40% of its lifetime in controlled museum environment. Its exhibition history, we saw that this one has been exhibited quite a lot. It's been traveling the world, which is quite interesting. The conservation history about this, there wasn't much available in the documentation file of the work at the museum, but more on this later. But anyway, we're able to kind of piece together milestones, key dates in the work's conservation history. And the provenance, we only know for sure of two private collections, and the work in itself was acquired by the museum in 1980. Second aspect of the research is carried out by Estelle van Rijts from ENSAB-Lacambre, the paper conservation training program in Brussels. And the idea was to have her students, because training is a huge, of course, aspect of the research, was to train her students in condition reporting worked in FRIABLE media. So in several sessions, all 100 artworks were fully condition checked by her students, really going on locations wherever the artworks were stored, in the print room, in the depot, as you can see here in the compactus, where you can see the peacocks in their natural habitats in the compactus. And interestingly also interesting to note is also the fact that the condition report template that we created, adapting from different templates available, was really intended for us as a data mining tool. We wanted these condition reports to be able to bring up a lot of material information, because then we will use this to gather material data on those artworks to inform subsequent phases of the project. And of course, all these condition reporting workshops were done increasing difficulty gradually, so that the students, of course, could build their observation skills. So from straightforward artworks to complex artworks with combinations of techniques. And of course, making those documents was also an iterative process, always refining the condition reporting templates, for instance, based on students' feedback. Now, let's dive into another crucial phase of the project. So I told you the research corpus, well, the museum corpus, I should say, is made of 100 artworks. We cannot do extensive research on 100 artworks. We wish we were able, but it's not possible. So we only selected a small subset of this larger corpus, and we conducted in-depth research. So we ended up choosing 9 artworks based on the following criteria: variety in media, handling, combinations, in exhibition histories. Some work have traveled a lot, others not really. Variety in condition as well. And also, most of all, we were interested in selecting artworks that displayed features or damage patterns that could not really be explained through condition reporting. So we thought there is a little bit more that we need to unpack and understand. So the first phase, of course, was to unframe. 7 of these 9 artworks were framed. So unframing was done by paper conservators on the team. And especially for this one, it was discovered that upon unframing, that the work apparently had, the support had suffered a little bit more extensive damage that what was found in the documentation file, and also that the conservation treatment apparently was a little bit more extensive than what the documentation led to believe. So in this case, it was interesting, of course, to be able to piece together archival evidence and the actual object to filling the gaps. As you can see, my colleagues' expert hands collecting samples. So samples were taken on the mounting, on the glazing, on the framing, as many as we could take. And these are earmarked for future analysis by Kikirpa. Again, more on this later. And you can see the document on the right. Of course, unframing was also an opportunity to draw very thorough reports on how these works were mounted and framed, and in many cases that would also inform remounting and storage strategies that we hope to implement, because in some cases we found that the current mounting framing was not exactly appropriate. Now, of course, with those 7 unframed, some of them very large drawings, we needed to have a safe handling and transport protocol because all of these drawings were to be imaged and further analyzed. So based on, you can see on the left, this is a floor plan of the space where they lie. So bottom right is the storage room and top left is the imaging room. So we had to come up with, again, quite MacGyver-y solutions, repurposing a table, padding it, adding Tyvek to serve as a cart. We chose the fastest and smoothest routes to carry the works from one place to another. All works were placed on a piece of foam board, so never actually touching the artwork while handling them, and always 2 persons to lift them, put them on the cart, and doing all the handling. So, of course, this handling and transport protocol was established with the paper conservators on the team, and we hope, of course, that what we developed for us for the project can be further then expanded into guidelines that we hope to offer as one of the outcomes of this project. So first testing it amongst ourselves on the project scale, and then later on expanding on that, and also the idea was to raise awareness within the museum, within handling practices inside the museum. So that's also an ongoing, let's say, endeavor. Now, the nerdy bits. We were able to perform, so both KU Leuven, through me, and Kikirpa, extensive non-invasive imaging and analysis. So, namely, visible light photography in even illumination and working lights from 2 angles. That's what you can see, top left. Also, narrowband multispectral imaging. If you're curious about the hardware and software we use in this particular setup, please come find me. It's all published on Zinner, though I will share the reference. We also did, with a KU Leuven developed imaging tool, photometric stereo, with a tool called the Microdome, this kind of RTI-like tool. Microscopy, Raman spectroscopy, and macro-XRF were done by Kikirpa. And now I'll show you a result. Oops. Nope. This is a video, but I don't know if it plays. Oh, yeah. So this is, if you attended Anastasia Bar's talk yesterday, she showed this tool, the Draper tool, developed by Rob Erdman. And this is the same tool we're using it. And in this visualization, I'm showing you even illumination and raking light in the curtain mode. So you can really see the materiality of the artwork. And here is the QR code that you can scan if you want to play with this visualization on your phone. And just to conclude, expected outcomes that we have, of course, data-driven decision-making tools and guidelines that we hope that would serve the community as a whole, training materials and workshops, a damage atlas as well for friable media, a terminology of friable media, data sets and multimodal images, and data sets will be published, of course, in open repositories, and a PhD dissertation, and that's on me. And with that, if you have any question, we'd love to hear, and thank you very much for your attention.